Come on. What's the opening music? Sisters Keeper.
If you need to.
No, none of
No.
that.
No.
All right, so we are live.
Come on.
Hey.
Hey, lovelies!
Opening music.
Sisters Keeper.
No.
Yeah.
None of that.
All right. Yeah, it comes up. Did it come up on your phone? All right. But now, is that only because you have notifications?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Can
All
you
right.
see like the participants to see who's there?
That's what I'm trying to look at now. All right. I would have to pull up. Oh, I did. Came out of there.
What's up, you guys? We are now live on Sisters Keeper. Hey, that's my sisters. It's on YouTube. I'm gonna post a link. It's already listed on my file. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Yes, Hunty. Yes. Should I do? No.
No.
There we go. All right. Hey, everybody. We are live. Join us. Okay. Let's see. Oh, how do I post to my page?
I feel the same way. Okay, this is something we're learning all together right at the same time. Because I was just about to say, well, how do you? The world has changed on us.
I know.
Like it's
Let's see.
hard out here in these streets.
Let me see. Copy
I
link.
have on lip gloss, Mom.
Where's mom?
She's watching.
Did she text you?
Yes.
Just so you know, we are live.
She's like, apparently mom's sexy.
Such as live, such as live.
Yeah, I can't tell who's on or who's not.
Let me see if I can see it. Maybe you can do like well, you sent us the link, right? So maybe if we just post a link up.
Yeah, I just sent it. I just put it again on Facebook.
Let me share it.
Okay. And share. 1, 2.
There we go. Let's see. It says live on YouTube. Oh wait, view stream on YouTube. Did you click on that on Zoom?
Did I click on what?
Oh,
I would click on live.
I know. And then can you actually see that it says at the top, like you can look at the stream. It says live on YouTube. So you hear the stream on YouTube. Did you click on that on Zoom? I'm terrible with that.
Did I click on what? I would click on live.
I know. And then can you actually see?
Because she's got it on in the background.
Can you hear that? That's like from it's from YouTube. Sorry. You hear that? You know I don't know what I'm doing.
Click on that on
None of us do. We are all in this together.
We're all in
click on
this
live.
together.
I know. And then can you
OMG.
actually
Oh, you have to turn it off.
cut it on in the background?
Can you hear that? That's like from. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and close that. Bless the Lord today.
Thank you.
I was trying to like get out of it.
None of us do. We are all in this together.
We're all in
See?
this
I don't
together.
see comments. Add public
I
comments.
know. And then can you actually
Okay, great. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Now that we've had thanks, Carmen. She said not hear all of it. Thank you, Carmen, for letting us know.
Can you tell we amateurs?
Yes. Instead of the three amigas, the three amateurs.
Amateurs, yes.
So yes, this is, as you all can tell, this is our first time doing this. And I just thought it was fitting because as many of you know, I've been celebrating my 6-month anniversary of My Sister Keeper. Woo, woo, woo. We first started November 24th on YouTube, and I said, let's end this Sunday on YouTube. So I am here with my fabulous sister. Woo!
In the building.
Not the end of my sisters, but these are Joy and Michelle. Hi. And as I thought about relationships, because you know we've been talking all week about building a relationship with yourself, building a relationship with your friends, building a relationship as a wifey or a wannabe wifey. And yesterday we had a very powerful session with Dr. Ursula Wright, my mentor, on the power of mentorship. So talking about mentorship relationships. And so I just thought it was befitting to end this week with a whole lot of fun, as you all can tell already. With sister relationships. So we are just going to go ahead and dive right in and talk about what is the best thing about being a sister. Joy, we're going to start with you.
Man, there's a lot of great things about being a sister, but I think most of all, it's like having somebody that you can lean on. That's a great one. I mean, like, I think some people really see the beauty of having a relationship with their sisters. Unfortunately, some people don't. Some people are not really as close as maybe they would have liked to be. But I think there's such an awesome thing about being able to just lean on a sister, somebody you can trust. So
awesome. Mimi? Michelle?
Yeah. No house names here today.
I definitely agree, but I think being the youngest sister, me having older sisters is really awesome because I get the opportunity to just hear from, and both of you all are so different. So I know that I can hear from like the two of you, the wisdom from both of you, like what you've experienced, how you would handle it. And then I can go to Joy and be like, how would you handle it? What would you, what have you experienced? And so it just kind of helps me miss some potholes and then decide on the potholes I still want to jump in and get my own experience because I'm different, but at least I know in advance.
And that's what I was gonna say, Joy. Why did it sound like it was, and this junk that y'all messed up on, I don't have to.
It's true. But it's true.
Actually. And the funny thing about Michelle is that she's like quite the stealth bomber. You know what I mean? Like, she's paying attention. She won't really talk about all of that, but she's watching. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she'll see, oh, you fell in that pothole, huh? I'm just here. Like, you're so wise, Mimi. So I learned from watching you.
It's true.
Crazy.
I definitely think the best thing about having a sister is just the connection that we have. It's a bond that to me is just unbreakable unless you allow it to be broken. You know, when they say that blood is thicker than water, you know, there is a DNA that runs through us that doesn't run through other people, that keeps us connected and keeps us after each other, even when, you know, I might piss you off or you might piss me off, or, you know, it's like, you know, I'm done, but it's like, no, it's something in that connection. Yeah, that it's like, that's my sister. You know what I mean? It's like, and especially, you know, you could be with a sister, you could be as mad as you want to be, but let somebody else roll up on your sister.
Oh,
Boy, we got.
did you see the song that I posted for our talk?
No, I didn't. Most of the time.
It's lit. That's my sister. That's my sister. Like we just, what you said? Oh, okay.
You know, so I just think that that's, you know, and even with, you know, with your brothers, even sometimes with mom and dad, it's like, whoa, back up off my sister. You know what I mean? It's like, leave her alone, you know, and there's that connection. And a lot of times with that connection comes an understanding of, okay, like, you know, she's just going through a process right now. It doesn't mean that she loves me any less or she loves us any less. It's just, that's who she is right now. And we're going to love her anyway, you know? So that was one of the things that I thought about when talking about what is that for? Loving my sister and have the best thing about having a sister. And I think what's really unique about us as sisters is that we're a blended family, you know, and so coming together, I think that that it was such a divine connection, a divine intervention of God, that our families came together, that we became sisters, you know what I mean? So, you know, I know that there has been adjustments, you know what I mean? Because, you know, Joy went from being the baby to being the middle. And then I was like, whoa, wait, what's happening here? What's happening here? You know? And so, you know, we've made all these adjustments, but we've grown through them and we've just come out so much stronger. And so, Mimi, we're going to start with you this time. What are some of the things that you think have strengthened our bond as sisters?
I think the fact that we all love each other as people first. And the reason I looked at you like that is because I know sometimes that can be a struggle, you know, in any relationship, you know, whatever type of relationship, whether it can be parental, it can be sisters, but, you know, you always think that they're always going to remain, you know, the relation as opposed to the person. And people change, people grow. And I think what keeps our bond is that we are open enough to learn each other at every stage of our lives. You know, it's like, regardless, like, that's my sister. I don't know what you're doing right now, but you my sister. So with all that other stuff or all them other people, whatever, you my sister. We still gonna sit down with some fry bake and, you know, like, it is what it is.
I think that's the answer too, you know, like that's a great, what you're saying is absolutely true. We've learned to accept each other and love each other for who we are at any given moment. And I think what was also important was that our family did a great job at communal relationship, as in like, it was to always come together. It was always, and it was usually over food. Oh, thank God.
I fish.
Right, but it was, I think that really kept the line of communication open between us and let us know that, hey, yeah, you could be going through something, but when we all here together, we all together. And that was important too, that I saw that helped us build as the years go on. You know, as we continue to get older, we still are tight. Like, I love y'all. Like, what you say?
And I love that. I love what Michelle said about the fact that we just have to see each other, you know, because I think that for me, especially being that Michelle and I have 12 years apart, you know, so we had more of a mother-daughter relationship. And so as she came up and became older, you know, and I think she might have even probably, you know, you correct me if I'm wrong, but just in the family period, as the baby of the family, you know, it was just her evolving into who she was, all of us having to make adjustments to, wait, wait, she grown. wait, what just happened? You know, and so I know, you know, that she and I, you know, I struggled. I'm not going to say she struggled. I struggled when we had to make that transition to sister, from mother to sister, because you know, I saw her still as a child, you know, and I looked at her, I still saw, you know, remember the little twist I used to put in the little ponytails, right? That we used to put in her hair and twist it up, you know, she had hair down to here. And so, you know, so it was very challenging for me to allow her to be, you know, and I remember at one point, she just told me, "You're not my mama." Woo! That hurt me.
Remember that, maybe?
I don't recollect.
Oh, I do. Baby, I did a sample, like, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Like, that thing cut me to my core. And I remember, like, I didn't talk to her for a couple days. Yeah. But, you know, in that, I had to come to, okay, you know what? You're not her mama. You are her sister. Mm-hmm. And then even, you know, which we'll get into later, transitioning from sister to friend, you know, but that like cut me to my core and trying to come into that place of equality. You know what I mean? Because I was always like this, you know what I mean? Even with Joy, it was always like, y'all baby sister, I'm big sister. Shut up and sit down.
What did I say?
What did I say? You know what I mean? So, you know, coming into that place of, you know, equality of, listen, we are equals. That was a real struggle for me as an older sister. So for all the older sisters out there, you know, understanding that when you have that buck, you know, from your younger sisters, it's because, you know, we're still seeing them as these, you know, little people that we took care of, but we have to understand they are now mature women who are our equals, and we have to treat them as such. And sometimes that can be a real struggle for big sisters. Yeah. So I kind of already went into our next question about challenges that you have to overcome as sisters. Listen, all my broadcasts this week, you know, they have just flowed. They have just totally flowed. So I know that was a challenge for me that I had to overcome as, you know, coming into a real sistership and not, you know, authoritarian kind of situation. Were there any challenges that you all feel that you faced as sisters?
Yeah, for me, I had to learn to share. Yeah, I had to learn to share because, you know, with the brothers, it was like they didn't want anything that I had, you know? So I had to learn to share. I had to learn to share with Michelle. I had to learn to share, you know, and although I wanted to be protective of her too, at the same time, I was like, man, I don't want you to just take all my stuff, you know, when I was little, you know? But I think that was probably the biggest challenge. That was young though. Afterward, it was like, you know, as we started to grow and I started to see just how talented she was, I was like, oh, I want her to do all the stuff I do too. Like, you know, like, oh, well, you should do this. Oh, you should do this too. Oh, you should do this. Like, you know what I mean? I think I saw something else that I related to in her. And I was like, oh yeah, this is great. You should play this. And I was, you know, really happy Dad had given her a bass. And I was like, we could be a band. And so, you know, and that was probably in my later teenager years. So, but other than that, I think as adults, I think the biggest challenge as adults now is just that I don't get a chance to be with y'all as much, you know, moving away and hanging out. So I do miss that, you know, being able to like just pull up around the corner because we all literally live like in a 2-block span of each other, like our whole lives. So it was crazy. So that's probably the biggest challenges I had. So.
Yeah, I don't think that we really had too many like run-ins, like, and I think that again goes back to like tooting, you know, mom and dad's horn because they really taught us to talk. Like I always tell people now, I'm like, we the most talking family I've ever met. Like we talk about everything, you know, and that's something that they always instill in us. Like everything we can work out through communication. You know, we never like, you know, yeah, we can, some people are like more emotional, but you know, after you have your emotional spout, like you still coming back to the table and we're going to sit and we're going to talk and we're going to look in the word and, you know, we're going to communicate through everything. So I don't ever remember us ever having like any kind of big falling out, which I think is definitely something that we should be grateful for. Yeah. You know, because especially being like a blended family, and we don't even see each other as a blended family. Like we literally are just sisters. So I'm really grateful for that. You know, I think the biggest challenge that, just going back to what Keith said, you know, me being on the other side of her greatest challenge, that was definitely, it was difficult because not wanting to hurt her. Like, I know that she's a very tender heart, you know, and so not wanting to towards me. Not wanting to hurt her, not wanting to offend her, you know, but also knowing that it was very important that I did stand up and become my own person, you know, and not wanting to disappoint her, you know, but also knowing that it was important for she and I both for me to be able to transition into being my own person. So I think that was definitely a hard space when she stopped talking to me, you know, she stopped cooking for me, you know, all those things, but we got through it.
That's the love.
Yeah, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for our family. I'm grateful for our relationships. Like, we really do, you know, we can talk through anything. We can eat through anything.
I'm making fried bake.
Yeah.
Some good old curry roti.
Come on. Yeah.
Problem settled.
I don't even know what I was mad about.
What you say? Talk about.
That's the pepper sauce. It's all right, girl.
So true. Oh my gosh.
Oh, gosh.
For real.
Thank you.
No,
so, you know, yes, we are, and I love what you said, Michelle, that we're just sisters, like you said, you know, beyond any blended or whatever labels, we are just sisters. But I feel that, you know, we are definitely friends as well. And so how do people, or how can sisters make that transition? Or how do you feel like you've made that transition as a sister and becoming a friend? Because it's, you know, sisters, like, you know, ride or live, you know, forever. But, you know, becoming a friend, you know, is a different kind of relationship, and it brings a different dynamic that, you know, where, like you said, Joy, it's like, I miss being with you guys, you know what I mean? So what are some ways, or what do you think about as far as like how sisters become friends?
Well, I'll start. I think that I think it goes back to getting to know the person outside of the relationship.
Okay.
You know, because I think that to be friends with any person, you sit and you observe the person, right, and decide that you want to become friends with the person. That's how, I mean, in regular life, you know, you sit in a kindergarten class, a college class, is like, oh, that person looks cool, I want to go and talk to them. So I think even when it comes to sister relationships, I think it's identifying the beauty in that person and then saying, I want to connect with this person and I want them to be a part of my life in this way. And I think that we have learned how to do that. And I think that we all see the beauty in one another, and we all have made that decision to want to connect in that way, outside of like have to because we're, you know, we're sisters, but just because we're like, hey, I really like you as a person. Like, I want to be your friend.
That's good. I love that. Just liking the person. I love that. Joy, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, besides making the decision, I think we're all presented with that moment in time where you're able to drop your guard and be vulnerable and really just present like your real inner you to whomever. And you can do that both with a person in an outside relationship and a interpersonal relationship. And I think it's super special when you're able to do that with a family member, because now it's like, that means like, hey, beyond the title of sisters, we trust each other. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell you, you know what I'm saying, things about me that I know, one, you're gonna, you know, still love me. You're gonna, you know, hear me. You're gonna, you know, pray with me. You're gonna remind me that wherever I am at that moment in that vulnerability, that I'm not gonna, it's not gonna be the end of the world. You'll pour back into me. And I think it just allows an opportunity for trust to build. And when you can trust somebody, you can call them your friend. I mean, not to be all churchy, but like, I mean, God called Abraham his friend because there was a level of trust there and communication there and vulnerability there that allowed them to have this connection that went far beyond just, you know, maker and creation, you know? So, and I think we have that opportunity in every relationship.
That's good.
So
I love it. I love what both of you guys said. I was like, man, she took my answer. Oh, she took my answer too. We're coming together in one mind, is melting. But I love that, that, and I love what both of you said as far as like just wanting to be with that person and being able to drop your guard. I know a moment came for me when I was going through a really rough relationship, and I remember calling Joy and just telling her all about it. She's like, "What's up, girl?" And I'm just like, telling her about this dude, and we just started just like breaking down on the phone, and just like, yeah, I've been through that, and this happened and that happened, and for me, I think that was one of the moments that really transitioned us to friends, where I was just able to be like, oh man, yeah, Beyond a Sister, man, she has some good stuff to say there. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can relate. Oh, okay.
That was it. We had our moment where we found what we related in, and it wasn't that it was heartbreak and stuff, but it was like we have a real moment. You've been through what I've been through. Like, wow,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Any moment for you, Mimi, where you felt like Michelle? We still calling about a house name.
No, sorry.
We're so sorry. It's okay. I'm trying to use grown-up names.
I know, right? We're all adults, like we got children and stuff. Like we're trying to be respectful.
Do you recall any moments or it's like, I like her, I want to spend time with her?
No, I think it's different being the youngest. It's like you guys don't get mushy on me, but you guys are both like my heroes. Like I don't have. You did it anyways. It's different to like, these are our young women that are growing up before me, and to see the strength in you guys and to see like, yeah, there's things in each of you that I'm like, wow, I want to be like that, or wow, I want to do something like that. So it's a different viewpoint. I think like, for me to be like, yeah, these are women that came before me that paved the way for me, that y'all softened up the parents for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's like, yeah, I don't have a moment. Like, it's just, y'all are just my sisters. Like, it's just, I guess it's just what it is for me. So cool.
Yeah. It's like,
why am my eyes leaking?
My eyes are leaking.
Oh, Mimi, that was really sweet.
That was.
Yeah,
that was.
Hey, Michelle. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Oh boy. And so what are some yeah, we're already on the last question.
Do we do this one?
Which one? What are some ways to strengthen a sister bond?
No, to overcome ways.
Oh, what are some ways? Well, kind of, sort of. What are some ways to overcome challenges in love? I think we kind of touched on that because we talked about the fact that communication is something that's so key. Being open to one another and understanding. I think that has a lot to do with it, because just understanding, and I know something for me too. What
happened?
What happened? Sorry. Okay. What you thinking about?
You have a delayed reaction.
I thought about the personality test.
Yes, I was gonna say, and it's funny she's saying that because I was gonna talk about the fact that really understanding each other and having to understand our different personalities, and that because like Joy was saying earlier, Mimi's quiet, reserved, but she'll drop a bomb on you, and you'd be like, whoa, what just hit me?
Breaking news.
You know what I mean? Where, Joy and I are a lot more vocal. Joy being most vocal. But
I'll be telling it all. I'll be like, I got no whole spot.
You're like, oh, I wasn't supposed to say that?
I got no filter, none.
Yeah, the 4 fingers right here. I was supposed to say that?
So you'll always know that the bomb is coming because she's going to be talking the whole way the bomb is coming at you.
No shame. I'll let you know. You'll never be guessing with me.
But I think, but that's something that we've all just had to, and it's important for sisters to understand that, that each of us have different personalities and we bring different strengths to the relationship. And just going back to what Michelle was saying, about, she calls us for different vantage points and different perspectives when it comes to, different things, and same thing, I'll call Joy for something that I might not call Mimi for, and I'm sure, Joy, the same thing. And so, that understanding, and I think a lot of it does come with maturity, but just coming to that place of understanding of, okay, this woman is different from me. She is opposite. Sometimes we're opposite of each other. And I think sometimes too that when we see our parents in each other, that sometimes look at the eyeballs.
Wow.
Sometimes that becomes a trigger, because it's like, when you like,
wow, that's such a good point. Go ahead, finish it.
that it becomes a trigger, because sometimes we start spouting, as our parents, love your parents, but you might not necessarily want to hear that,
right.
Because if it's like, if that was the case, I could have called mom and dad. I don't want to hear that from you.
I'm gonna talk to them today anyway. Like, I don't need to hear it twice. Wow. Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about it like that, but that's true. Sometimes we can't help it. We have been raised by the parents. So, and sometimes we end up doing and saying things like they have done and said. And so sometimes we don't want that. Sometimes we just want like a listening ear, or we just want somebody to say, it's going to be okay, or, hey, I'm with you. Like, don't feel any type of way. Sometimes you just don't want the added info, and learning to balance that is challenging at times too.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what, listening to figure out what in the different conversations, what does my sister need right now? Like, what am I supposed to say or not say at all?
Right. And I think that's so key. What you said about, communication is a big part of it is listening and really determining, what is it that you need? I know with Michelle, I've just come to the place where I'm like, okay, you want me to listen? You want me to take advice? Or what am I doing?
You ask, wow.
Yeah, because that's something that I've learned that works for us.
And I appreciate it.
You see, and she, because I'm the type, I'm a solutionist. So when you come, my mind is already like, okay, let me help you fix it. Let me help you fix it. Let me help you fix it. And that's not what she wants. Most of the time, I would say most of the time, Michelle just wants me to listen, and she just wants to vent it out, and she don't want you to solve it.
Right. She processed it herself.
Yeah, she gonna process it herself and get her own answers. She just want to talk. She wants somebody else to just listen to it.
Hear herself out loud. I think that's what it is. Hear herself out loud, and so it doesn't sound crazy. So you're talking to somebody you trust, you don't mind getting it out, and then it's like, okay, you've seen all your words in the air, and then you're like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and knowing that I have a
creative way of thinking, though. That's a creative thing.
Yeah, and knowing that I have a safe place to get it out, because you can't tell everybody everything you process it.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, like, I can call my sisters to be like, here, just listen to this,
okay.
And know that, like, it's not going any farther. That's the friend part, right? Like knowing that it's not going anywhere, that it's gonna stay right here, that I can express it however I need to express it, and that y'all are gonna love me the same after the phone call.
Yep.
That's important.
That's good. Very important.
Oof. I got a question, I think.
Go for it.
What if, because we've learned to really develop this communication in our own relationship, like what could each of us say to somebody who maybe has a sister who does not know where to start to even have a conversation? Like they don't have a relationship. They don't know how to start a relationship, or maybe they want to. Like what can we say, to them to help build?
Well, I think definitely the first thing you've got to do is reach out, to pick up that phone and say, and have the humility enough, I think it's two things. One, to have that humility, and two, to really want it, not to, because if you're going to pick up the phone just to rehash a hurt or a wound, then don't. But if your mind is really genuine reconciliation, then even how your sister may first respond to you you're going to continue to try to reach out. So I think that's the first thing, is that just having that humility to pick up the phone and say, listen, you know, I want us to be different. Yeah. Would you be willing, you know, and asking your sister, you know, would you be willing for us to try, you know, and they might, and you have to be, and that's why I said that humility, because you've got to be ready for whatever she might bring. Yeah. You know, because she might bring la 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 la, rah 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 rah, you know, or, you know what I mean? You know, and be okay with, you know, okay. And telling you, if that desire to reconcile is there, then you've got to even be okay with, you know what? I'm sorry that happened. And I'm sorry that it happened. And I don't want that to happen with us anymore. Yeah. How can we rebuild? You know, and just, you know, not having that fear of rejection, you know, because I think sometimes relationships are shut off because there is a fear, you know, fear of being rejected. And a lot of times your sister is on that other end, just as fearful, just as prideful, but missing you, but won't pick up the phone, you know, and you'll be surprised how grateful she would be, you know, that at least you decided to, you know, and for you all to reconcile and come together, you know, and if you have a, you know, like with us, it's 3 of us, you know, sometimes somebody need to be a mediator and just say, hey, you know, meet me at the house for some drinks. Okay. Show up, meet me at the house, because you know they like some drinks. Okay. Meet me at the house for some drinks. And they both show up and they like, what you doing? Oh, she about, oh, hey, everybody sit down. Let me pour you a glass. You know?
Mm-hmm. I think it's also respect too. I think you have to respect the other person's process, because sometimes it's not a matter of even like there have been a past issue. Sometimes people just, and I'm speaking just even from us being a blended family, like you have to respect people's process, you know, because like in all of this, like there's a 4th one of us, you know, like Naomi, we love you, we miss you. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I think sometimes too, we have to understand that people process things differently. Right. And so as you're trying to reconcile or even establish a relationship, I think that it's important that we respect how people process those things. You know, like me, I'm not emotional. Like I'm not emotional, but I have, you know, sisters that are very emotional, and I have some that are moderate and some that are emotional in some things, you know, and so it's important that I respect how people, I remember when I was younger, sorry, just a sidebar, but I remember when I was younger,
don't be sorry.
Okay, I remember when I was younger and I used to do certain things that I thought logically were fine, right? And so, but with Kiki, she would feel like I did something and she felt like I needed to apologize. And it would burn her up because I didn't think that I needed to apologize. And so what I had to learn to do as I got older is that I had to learn how to apologize because it offended her. I didn't think I was wrong, but I realized that I was apologizing because I hurt somebody that I love. And if she needed an apology, then what was it of me just to apologize in order to reconcile our relationship, right? And so, but it took me a minute. I had to adjust because she wasn't going to stop demanding the apology because that was that was what she needed, right?
I'm sorry. Okay.
You understand? So
get off the bandwagon. Yeah. Get off the bandwagon, Joy.
So I had to make that adjustment. And I think when you're trying to reconcile any relationship or build it, it's like you, like she said, with that humility, but also respect that people are different. And people build relationships differently. Their standoffishness or their like hurt or whatever the case may not have anything to do with me. It may be because of something that they've experienced, some hurt that they don't want to experience again. And so how can I continue, even as, you know, like you talk spiritually, like how can I continue to be the light? How can I continue to be the salt? And in this relationship that may feel non-existent, how can I continue to be this place of love that they can continue to see that I'm not a scary place. I'm not a hurtful place. I'm trustworthy, so that when they take those little steps, you know, and respecting and honoring those small steps, not trying to be like, hey, yeah, you hit. No. Like, hey, girl, hey. Hey, girl.
How you doing? Are you okay? Nice to see you.
You know, yeah, you know, so that way
That's
they
good.
can continue, you know, even as you think about, and I'm not trying to, you know, equate anybody to like an animal, but when you think about when you adopt a puppy, right? Or you adopt any animal, no, seriously, when you adopt an animal and you first bring them home, they may hide in a corner, right? They may not want to come in all the way. They may not run and jump in your bed right away or on the couch or whatever the case. They may come in and they may just want it because whatever environment they've come from, that's in their mind. That's what they need to do in this new space until they realize, oh, this person's not going to hurt me. This person's not going to abuse me. This person's going to feed me. And then gradually you'll start seeing, you know, that the relationship dynamics change. So I think it's just respect and honoring those places and those building blocks.
That's good. That is.
Go ahead, Mimi. Go ahead. Yes. Not the church. Excuse me. You better say that. That's so good.
That was good. And I specifically love when you said that, you know, in respecting that process, just understanding that it's not about you. And I think that that's something that we do as sisters, you know, when certain situations happen, that we take it personally instead of just saying, you know what, that's what she's going through right now. And I'm just going to stay here and love her instead of taking offense, instead of, you know, taking on a wound that's not yours to take on. It's not about you, you know, and just loving your sister through that process, you know, that's so important. That was good.
That was real good. You know, the only thing I would say, you know, to just add to that is, or what you're both saying, basically, I think it's important, if you don't have a relationship with your sister, the first thing you should do is understand yourself. If you know yourself and know what your pluses or minuses, like you brought up, Kiki, you said, okay, well, you know, don't be offended. So that to know yourself, to know that, hey, I am an emotional person and I might take it a little more seriously than what it really is. I have to remember that, like Michelle said, Michelle's not very emotional. So certain things that she says, not because she's saying it to be demeaning or hurtful in any way, it is her logical process of thinking. So I understand that for me, I have to make sure I remind myself, these are the things that I know about my sisters. I cannot allow those things to affect me in a negative way, because it does not all it'll do is, you know, in your own mind, make you feel like something negative has happened in the relationship, when honestly, you're both basically speaking two different love languages. And to understand yourself and to know what your sisters, the way you can have conversation with her, which I love that book, you know, 5 Love Languages, it just helps you understand, or any personality test, anything like that. To know yourself is to know how you can deal with people. And then you can make the right choices on how to do it, and do it in time that's respectful and process. I think that was great.
Yeah, that's real good. And I love that, Joy, because you know, and thinking about knowing yourself, even beginning to deal with whatever, you know, because a lot of times in sister relationships, sometimes there have been family trauma, family experiences that have put sisters against each other. You know, sometimes parents, they love us all the same. However, we're treated differently. And that's just truth. And it isn't that parents are necessarily trying to show favoritism. It's just that they have to deal with their children according to knowledge. And again, the love is the same. And so sometimes those sister bonds are broken down when there is an idea that I'm compared to my sister, or that my sister is treated differently, or now, you know, I'm the black sheep, you know, she's the goody two shoes and I'm always treated like the bad one. And so now there is these wounds that are set up, and there is a hatred that comes, you know, like a Cain and Abel kind of hatred, you know, because there's, you know, my gift isn't as good as as her gift. And so now I'm wounded, I'm hurt, and I hate you, sister.
Wow.
Because I'm really hating myself. You know, so I love that you said that, because we do need to start to deal with our own wounds, you know, deal with those things that have hurt you in your childhood and your, you know, whatever the situation may have been, you know, where you may have felt like your sister was getting more than you got, or your gift was not good enough, or you were not good enough. And now you hate her when she has done nothing, you know, but be herself. And so now you've got to deal with you in order to forgive you first, and then begin to, you know, open up the door to the rest of your family so that you can forgive them. Because sometimes, you know, parents don't come with handbooks, you know, they don't come with handbooks. They're doing the best that they can. And again, you know, yeah, sometimes it's just out and out favoritism, because, you know, a parent might see, you know, they have the same personality, you know, so it seems like favoritism, but it's just, they can't help but be drawn to that child. And it doesn't make you any less as a sister or as a child, but of course it's going to make you feel that way. And so then you've got to deal with your own self-value, your own self-worth, you know, your own self-love. So, you know, if you're a sister out there and you're hating on your sister because of those wounds and those family experiences, begin to deal with that hurt, you know, begin to deal with those wounds so that you can reconnect with your sister.
I think it's all, there's also the possibility of the opposite way too, of putting those false obligations on your sister, feeling like your sister should have been, or your sister should have done, or your sister should have, you know. And I think when we put those obligations or those false obligations on people to be how we want them to be, and they don't meet up to it, they were going to fail from the beginning. You know. So I think also understanding that like your hurt can be coming from something that you put on them, you know, and then also forgiving yourself of putting that on them, and then allowing yourself to forgive them that they didn't meet the expectation, and sometimes even be silent, you know, expectations. Sometimes they don't even know that that's what you expected of them. You know, and so now they can't even, you can't figure out, and they can't figure out why you guys can't connect, but it's because you have put something on them that wasn't theirs to bear anyways.
Oof, that's good.
Today, Michelle, today. You have to call her Michelle, okay? Because that baby is not a baby anymore. You better say it, ma'am. My mama.
That is good. That is good. That is good.
Excellent.
So ladies, we are at 6:46. So final thoughts for sisters? Any final thoughts?
Yes, don't miss out on the beautiful relationship of having a sister.
That's good.
For any reason at all.
That's good.
Life is short, and you should enjoy it with the beautiful women that God has placed in your family called your sisters.
Yes.
Learn the good, the bad, take it all, the indifferent. It's important to share those kinds of relationships. Don't let them go.
That's good. Love that. Love that. Michelle?
Selah.
Selah.
Come on, Selah.
No, I mean, I agree. It's just sisters are something that they're gifts, you know, and it's like no other relationship. Like you're not going to relate to your sister the way you relate to your brother, the way you relate to your mom. I don't care how close you are to your mom. It's nothing like a sister. That's so good. Like she said, if you are gifted with a sister, like really take the opportunity to get to know them as a person and love them, protect them, honor them, you know, and really value the gift that God gave you, because everybody doesn't get the same gift.
Yeah.
You know, and if you get gifted with a sister, know that like God gave you a little extra wink, you know, and honor that.
God gave you an extra wink. Send me my post tonight.
Oh
if you have a sister, God gave you an extra wink. Oh.
It's a double wink, you know, when you get a blended sister, you know what I mean? One that doesn't, like, I'll be honest, like we didn't really go into that at all, but like I feel so uncomfortable at times. I've never in my entire life used stepsister. I've never, to the point where, and it just feels gross to say it, to be honest, you know? So like, when you have an opportunity to have a blended family and have a sister, like I had never thought in my head like, oh yeah, I don't have any sisters. I only have stepsisters. I never thought like that ever in my entire life.
Yeah.
So yeah, double wink.
Yeah, it's always interesting when somebody like has the question, and then you're like, hey, you guys are like, yes, my sister. No, but like, it's my sister.
Right? With the Zoom, with the Snapchat Zoom.
My
It's my
sister.
sister.
Yeah, my sister. That's it.
Whoa.
That was good. That was good. So, I just really feel led to pray tonight for sisters. So, for those of you on the broadcast, and for those of you who will be watching this, the recorded version, God, we just lift up sisters tonight. God, we just lift up the bond and the connection of sisters right now in the name of Jesus. We just thank you right now. And for those who are struggling in their relationship with their sister, or those whose their sister relationship has been blocked, God, by hurts and wounds, silent expectations, God, communicated expectations that weren't met, disappointments, God. God, I thank you right now just for a forgiveness and a humility to just be clothed over every sister, God. I thank you that even this week, that sisters will begin to pick up the phone and call each other and reconnect and reconcile and reestablish relationship. And those, God, like my sisters here, God, that are already connected, God, but sometimes we're not close, we're far away from each other. I just thank you for just strengthening our bonds and protecting us and keeping us and causing us to excel, God, and to even go further and grow deeper in our connections as sister and as friends. We just lift up every family that has been struggling right now in the name of Jesus, and especially African-American families that have been so divided because of things that have happened in our culture. Oh God, we just thank you right now just for the healing. Does this go forth into these families, into every family, every sister relationship? We even lift up brother relationships, blended family relationships. We just thank you for healing now to just take place and cause these families, cause these sisters, brothers, blended, God, all of us to just come together as one and to see that gift, God, and to be able to enjoy the winks that you have given us in our sisters. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
This was so fun.
It was. Love you, sisters.
Love you.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And go call your sister. Call her. Right now. Make a date. Do a Zoom. Pull it out.